This podcast episode may contain explicit material. Listener viewer discretion is advised. The intention is not to offend, but to provide information. Proceed only if you are comfortable with potentially sensitive content.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Scenes with Sheriff Jason Ard. I'm Jason Ard. We started this podcast to educate everyone on the role of the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. We're about serving and protecting our community. On this podcast, we will tackle lots of topics. Well, thank you all for tuning in today. I just want to continue honoring Corporal Shawn Kelly. With me today in the studio is Chief Rodney Walker, Denham Springs Police Department, as well as Keith Scoby, Lieutenant with Denham Springs Police Department, better known as Scoby.
There you go.
Right? Thank you guys for being here. I know this a lot. We all stay busy, but I appreciate you taking the time to honor Shawn. I know y'all wouldn't miss doing that. So thank you for that. Chief Walker, I'm going to start with you. Can you give me a little bit about your background?
Sure. I've been in law enforcement for the better part of 28 years now. Started in Northwest Louisiana. I was raised in Walker, and after high school moved back up to where my family's at in Northwest Louisiana, and eventually became a policeman there before coming back here. So probably 25, 26 of those years was spent here at Denham.
Okay.
Yep.
Graduated from Walker High School?
Yeah, graduated
like
from
myself.
Walker High
Couldn't
School.
get enough of
That's
it.
Right,
had to come back.
Right. Had to come back. Yeah.
And been chief how long?
Been chief now for 3 years.
3 years.
Yep. And the time Corporal Shawn Kelly was shot, I had been chief only 9 months.
Yeah, I knew you were new.
Yeah.
Did a great job that day. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Hey.
It was tough, but you did good. I'm telling you, you stood up as a leader that day, and we'll get a little bit more into that. Lieutenant Scoby, what give me your background a little bit?
I started.
I kind of like that, Lieutenant Scoby.
Hey, it's. I think it's on my nameplate in my office. It's Lieutenant Keith Scoby.
All right.
Like I say to everybody, if the public says some officer named Scoby talked to them, everybody's going to know who they're talking about. So I started in 2007 as a reserve for Denham, the city of Denham Springs. I got hired on in 2009 with another officer that passed away with us, James Foster. Also during that time, Shawn Kelly was working with us the first time, so I knew him as an officer. He helped train me, and then fast forward many years later, I ended up becoming his supervisor by the second time he came back around. I started worked my ways up through juvenile and SRO and became road supervisor, and then I eventually took Chief Walker's spot in detectives as the supervisor, and that's the role I was in when Shawn got shot, and he has since promoted me to lieutenant since then.
Yeah, you actually worked with East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office as well as ourselves, Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office on this shooting incident.
Correct, right.
Shawn Kelly,
and as you know, there was two large scenes there. There was the Petco scene where Shawn went down, and then there was the shooting where Dakota Deputy Nycan got involved. So you have two agencies heavily involved. So when that happens, we typically like to call in an outside agency to help investigate.
Right. Well, look, I appreciate y'all guys being here, and we're going to kind of dive into it. And I know there was a lot of things going on that day. Our suspect, I know, was very known by, law enforcement. We've dealt with him before. I know you guys have as well as us. I think it's proper to say he's what we call maybe a 103M. Maybe he had some mental issues he dealt with, not very stable at times. But I don't know a lot about his background other than that. And, of course, this day, I think it kind of started off with a young lady who reported the gold Jeep following her home, kind of a little bit of road rage, follows her to her house. We actually have video of that where she drives up in the driveway, pulls in her garage, shuts the garage door as quick as she can. As soon as it shuts, you see the suspect backing out. And then he hits a couple more locations where he's had some interactions with people. I think y'all answered maybe one or two.
We did.
And some of them were ours as well.
Correct. We entered one on Bass Pro Boulevard minutes before the shooting happened.
And that was a off-duty police officer.
It was. So a lot of these events, when we talk about them, they may seem, when they're occurring, they're just suspicious.
Right.
Now, knowing what we knew, when you start backtracking these things, hindsight's 2020. So
Right.
you learn about these things, and then whenever we had an off-duty officer who worked for the state that called it in, and that's where my officers arrived to just take that normal complaint, quote unquote, and then
Yeah.
had to leave that to go handle business with Shawn.
Yeah. And Chief Walker, for the sake of us talking, we're going to start calling Rodney,
Right.
so I don't mess up here. Kind of walk me through that day, if you don't mind. I know you was a new chief. I know what it felt like when I got the call, because we didn't know anything other than officer down, and that's never fun to hear whatsoever. I mean, even just shots fired on a scene is something that is going to hit you hard. But
Absolutely.
if you don't mind, kind of walk us through Chief Walker's day.
So for me, it was a little out of the normal day for me. So I'd actually went home. I think I went home sick that day. Mm-hmm. And dude, from some of my people dropping the ball a little bit, because everybody, when you hear this kind of call, everybody kind of forgets what they were supposed to do,
Right.
in a moment. So the first notification I got that something was wrong, and I don't know if I ever told you this or not, was a text from you that said, if you need anything, let me know. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I saw that text, I knew I needed to hurry up and get dressed.
Yeah.
I was getting dressed, calling my people, hey, what's going on? And that was because I got that text from you. Of course,
Yeah.
as soon as I got the text, people starts calling me, but
Right.
it just so happens your text came first.
We was actually, somebody was in my office, if I remember right, that actually had a radio on. So I was listening to it, and I was in the truck pretty fast because
Right.
Several of us jumped out. I think my chief deputy, Brian Smith, it was either in, I think he was driving because I wanted to drive and he wouldn't let me. He drove. But I'm pretty sure it was in his vehicle and we were trying to get there. So we were listening to things as they was going down.
Yeah.
The Narcan deal, we were actually, I think I was in between Walker and Denham whenever the actual shooting went down with Narcan.
Yeah. So, I hurry up and got dressed. At the same time, I'm trying to notify the mayor. The mayor beats me to the scene because he was still in town. And we just kind of went from there, just chaos, as you know.
Yeah.
And just started kind of just going through, talking to everybody. And, the biggest thing for me that day kind of helped settle me and kind of get my mind in the right place of what was going down, and just to try to absorb it all,
Right.
to be there for my people and the community, because this community's so tight, and this isn't a community like normal. They love the police.
Oh, they do.
It wasn't like what you see on the news. They
Yeah.
love their policemen and their deputies.
And Rodney, one of the toughest things to do in that situation is be the chief. It really is. Like, be a sheriff, be a chief in a time that your guys, they need you to be that chief.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's so easy to get emotionally involved. And when your officers are getting emotionally involved, I watched it. I mean, they're human, and some of your guys, they couldn't even function right. I
Right, that's
watched
right.
it. Some of my guys couldn't function right. They do that.
that's right.
But we don't have a choice. When
Yeah.
you're in a leadership spot, you don't have a choice. You have to step up. You have to, your breakdown is usually when you get home,
Yeah,
and it's just like it hits you,
Right,
and it's like adrenaline dump. As long as that adrenaline's going, you good. But when it falls, sometimes you got to sit down.
yeah,
So it's real. And I'm gonna tell you, I was there. I was a support guy for you. We were doing anything we could to help you. But I made this comment in the public several times. You did show true leadership. You stood up. You kept your stuff together. You was very, every task that was thrown at you, you pretty much had an answer for. And if you didn't, you turned around and asked somebody.
yeah.
And so
Well-
it was impressive under that circumstance to watch you guys work. And you had some of your leadership staff. I don't remember who all they were. I just remember y'all getting it done.
Yeah.
And that's important to do that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the toughest part, and you
Oh,
were able to hold it
I
together.
agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think, a lot of that you were a big help to me that day, and Lori as well. But when I looked up and saw my pastor, not just a pastor, my pastor.
Right.
I looked up and saw my pastor, and he's looking around, kind of away from everything. And it's funny, months later, I asked him, how'd that happen? How'd you end up there? He said, I saw y'all leaving, because our church is right next to the police department. I saw everything, the chaos, and some just told me I needed to come down this way. Mm-hmm. And that's how he ended up here.
He's the one that we kind of did the big prayer with.
I asked him to pray with us.
Yeah,
and,
which I think was absolutely a game changer for us. I know we're skipping around on to get off in the weeds, but it was a big game changer for us during a time when we have two scenes working. And if y'all remember, on the Coda knock-in scene, we actually had a person that was trapped in his vehicle, kind of inside our crime scene. Very cooperative, but he actually videoed some stuff, like the bad guy down, Dakota, walking with his gun, that kind of, he posted it, and we started getting some hype on that. Lori took a picture of us doing the prayer, and it flipped the script, and that's what it became about, and that's what it needed to come about.
That's right.
I don't know if y'all even realized that.
I didn't know.
And we were able, it actually gave us a little bit of time to go talk to that man who was very cooperative, and he took it down.
Yeah.
Because it was basically a video without description, and y'all understand how that can change the narrative quickly and could have caused a lot of unnecessary chaos.
And he was just doing the normal thing people do, and look, this is what my day was about.
And I probably would have done it too. I mean, he was in
Right.
between bad guy and sheriff's deputy. Like, he was there, he was in the crossfire. Right. But it was, since you brought that up, I didn't know if y'all really realized that or not. There's a lot of things we haven't really talked about outside of a debrief, but yeah, that was a big,
I think one of the
changing moment for us.
We saw a lot of pictures and video from those scenes in the coming days, weeks, and even months. But one that would stick out to me is, I think there must have been a drone up or something that took a picture from the prayer, like from up high.
I think Lori got on a ladder or something. I'm not really sure.
I don't know. But anyway, like you said, that picture, I think, helped bring people together.
Well, there's no question that she's in the room. I'm going to ask her, how'd you take the picture? You stretched up? She's a tall lady. She's stretched
tall.
up, yeah.
So, but I think it's, I've really grown in my faith the last few years. Mm-hmm. But, man, I tell you what, looking over and seeing my pastor, God spoke to me and said, hey, he's there for a reason. Go grab him, use him.
Yeah. And we needed it at that time. Like,
Absolutely.
I think that all of us needed that kind of group hug prayer in a time, because it hits you hard. And the public, you said earlier, they are very supportive of their law enforcement here in Livingston Parish. No matter if it's the Denham Springs Police Department, Albany Police Department, we have a supportive group here. Yeah. And it means a lot. So, and
I think we all learn from things, looking back and getting feedback from my guys and gals for a leadership standpoint in the coming days, weeks, months. Mental health support for our people.
Yeah.
Wasn't that great. We didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
We did what we could. We provided peer support and stuff like that. So we got to looking into ways to help. We got a Cortico Wellness app now through Lexapol, which is fantastic. And we're slowly getting that out to our people. A lot of great tools on it. And just learning that, ways we can make things better on that aspect of it. God forbid this ever happens again, or something similar ever happens again.
It takes a toll on you officers. It really does.
Yeah.
It's something that it just affects them emotionally, mentally, and they have to deal with it. And peer support is very important.
That's right. That's right.
It really is.
And silver lining, Shawn smiling from up above and laughing, still making people smile in the community and serving his community by bringing everybody together.
Oh, he did that for sure. And you know, Scoby, if you would, I'd like for us to for you, if you would, tell me about Shawn Kelly. I only knew Shawn. You know, I knew him by, face. I ran into him or something, but I didn't really know the man. Now, what I've learned is he's a great man. He was just a great police officer, loved to, help out and train the new people. But I'd like to hear from you, if you would, just kind of describe him to us.
There's a few things about Shawn that I always bring up, and I'm one that's very blunt, and so was Shawn. So I don't fabricate stories. That's how he was. I know he's going to want me to say exactly how he is. One of those is Shawn was my neighbor, and I don't mean like my boy. I mean, he was my neighbor across the street. I still look at that house every day when I check the mail. Mm-hmm. That is very hard to do. Shawn would attempt to run me over once a week in his truck every time I did the yard, and laughing. That's just the person he was. That's the person I am. That is our sixth sense of humor. That's just how we are. But Shawn being all of those things and being very blunt, he is not afraid to tell even me as a supervisor, anybody, what was on his mind. But first person to help somebody. If you had your pressure washer was broken, I've used this pressure washer. If you were sick or ill or on vacation and your yard needed to be mowed, he's mowed plenty of neighbors' yards. He had a camper. He probably loaned out his camper to people. He had a boat at one time. He's probably loaning out. He just did. And that's whenever the chief speaks about his ability in the community, he just did. And I hate to say for his age, because I'm getting up there too, but he wasn't a rookie new officer. He wasn't in his 20s. Gosh, could he outwork the other officers? He was not afraid to do police work.
And set an example,
Easily.
Mm-hmm.
Easily.
It's hard to get those examples, for your other guys.
Yeah, he's very seasoned.
Yes. You're talking about 20 plus years of various different law enforcements on top of a guy who's not afraid to share his opinion. I want that guy every time. Right. I want that guy. I can manage that guy. I can, hey, Shawn, hey, calm down. Oh, yes, sir. And then, and share his knowledge. Yeah. And he wasn't afraid to do work. He wasn't afraid to do police work at all.
I might have to interrupt you. This is a perfect point, a perfect place for me to interject this little story. Mm-hmm. Shawn and I started working together over 20 years ago when he was with the ATC, and we would do the little send somebody in the store to buy alcohol that was underage and stuff, and then we'd bust them and different things like that. And we just always had a great working relationship. He'd come out on the weekends and work with us. So we knew each other all throughout that. And then it's 2 different times at DSPD. He had a time at the marshal's office. And I always stayed in touch when he wasn't around. But once I got into this role as chief, it even expounded more as far as connection. In a small department like ours, you rely on people for different stuff. You can go outside a chain of command and go directly to certain people. Mm-hmm. And Shawn was my guy for the people peddling signs, begging for money without a permit on the side of the road and bothering people at the intersections and stuff. And I didn't even have to call him. I'm going to have to call him and say, hey, Shawn, I need you to go check. I already know about it. I'm going right now. I seen him a while ago. I'm headed back over there now. And that wasn't his quote unquote job. Right. He was a traffic cop, but he would do those little things extra. Right. He was a taser instructor. He helped facilitate getting radar and LiDAR equipment at the PD. Did some of those things, dealing directly with me, that got him and I both in trouble. Mm-hmm. And he wound up getting reprimanded, and I had to go to his supervisor and say, that was kind of my fault. I'm sorry. Yeah. And we wound up having a big powwow. Literally, it had to be weeks before he got shot, huh, Scoby?
Maybe a month.
We just everybody just kind of made up. Yeah. From our little tiff we had. Mm-hmm. But just in my office, and this is the story I was getting to that I wanted to tell everybody. Just in my office during that makeup period is Shawn telling me, just me and him, Rodney, I just want to make this place better. Mm-hmm. And we hugged, and he cried, and I cried. Finished business. We got back to doing God's work. And got back to business, working well together, just like we always have, and everybody else there. And that's who he was.
Yeah.
He did whatever I needed him to do, whatever Scoby needed him to do. Scoby's not in his chain of command, or never was at that time period of his career. But no matter what, he was going to do to help somebody else, whether it be another officer, administration, or somebody in the community. Shirt off the back. Here you go.
Yeah, and that's all I've ever heard about him. You know, you hear a lot about him, and one thing that I know for sure, that he loved Denham Springs Police Department. He loved the Denham Springs community. Like he really gave everything he could, and ultimately he did. But he loved going to work. He loved doing that job. From the people that I have talked to, so you described him to a T.
He sat on a committee at City Hall. It's one of those, hey, do you mind if I do this? Sure. He sat on a committee at City Hall for blighted properties and you know, bad areas, you know, that the city tries to improve. To be 24/7, 7 days a week eyes, you know, that sometimes the mayor's office couldn't see. You know, we see a different side of things as police officers. And he was that input on that blighted property committee.
Just wanted to help.
Yeah.
Man. And so I know he worked with ATC at one time, right? What was did he start his career at Denham Springs Police Department?
He worked with them before Denham Springs Police Department, came to Denham Springs Police Department. He was for sure there in 2009 when I got hired full time. I don't know when he left. He did leave to go work for the marshal's office in Denham. Then he went to the Baton Rouge Constable's office, and then he came back to us.
Okay. I remember him working for the marshal's office.
Yeah. I forgot how many years he did there, but he was he worked for them.
He's pretty much been in the community for a long time.
Oh yeah, and a resident as well. So he just long time Denham Springs
super guy,
resident and family member.
And getting to our a little more into the scene and you know, talking to the dispatcher and Narcan, a lot going on that day. I know when you guys get on the scene, I think we're all kind of on scene trying to put this together. One of the biggest confusing things as we're responding is the description of vehicles we're looking for, because I think there was multiple. I say multiple. There's a couple of different descriptions of vehicles.
There was a couple, and since the incident hasn't happened, I've created a PowerPoint and a breakdown of this and body cam footage, and as a training tool for other officers that I've told Shawn's family about. And it's a good tool to understand what dispatch was receiving, what was relayed to the officers, and how quick they were able to respond. And we had officers on scene that weren't even working that day. That came from a nearby gym, from two different agencies. There's so many moving parts when it comes to this, and that's why I really wanted to look at it and break it down to make sure that we kind of cover it all and we use it as knowledge, a little bit of closure, and a teaching tool.
Yeah, it was there was the East Baton Rouge,
East Baton Rouge deputies.
They actually responded, I think, and they rendered CPR to him.
Yes,
they was on the scene pretty quick.
It was two East Baton Rouge. I believe detectives, deputies, and then one of our officers at the time were working out when they heard the gunshots.
Yeah.
So we actually have video footage of the surveillance of them arriving in their.
And they was just grabbing outer carriers, vest carriers, throwing them on, and going over to the shooting. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. At
least one of them had a vest carrier.
Yes. In investigating and looking at some of that, whenever I interviewed our officer and what he did when he was there. It's sad because this guy did have experience, and he had many years experience in law enforcement. And I remember some of the words to me. He said, "Scoob, I didn't have my Batman belt. I didn't have my medical belt. He's in gym shorts, and a cut off T-shirt. He's working out. He didn't intend for this to happen. And as he's trying to deal with Shawn, I didn't have all the things that I'm used to having. Right. He's received an award for applying a tourniquet for somebody who had a serious cut. He knows how, but he didn't have it." Right. And that was one thing that he had to keep dealing with was I didn't have my tools. So when you break down each one of these officers, and I've looked extensively into each one of my officers that responded, you take away a different perception of each one and what they were going through when they responded, and you try to learn from it.
Yeah. And sometimes we feel like we can be helpless without our tools.
Yes.
And it's not true, but we can't help but feel that way. You're so used to having them, everything that you need. That's why you wear your tool belt,
Right.
you know? So that day I'm gonna kind of go back and describe as Corporal Kelly, and there's video footage of him actually responding to the scene. He has a young man with him who is training. Is it proper for me to say it was his second day on the actual job?
Correct. It was the second day. He graduated,
Fresh
I believe,
out
on
of
a
the academy.
Tuesday. That occurred on a Thursday.
He graduated on Tuesday, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Tuesday.
and this happened on a Thursday.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so the young man's passenger
Correct.
of the vehicle.
Yes.
They drive into the Petco parking lot.
Yes. So a call that Shawn jumped. It wasn't
Yes.
a dispatch
Yeah,
call.
he wasn't
yes.
dispatched to it.
Yeah, somebody else was dispatched, and he jumped the call.
That was another thing Shawn frequently did was, go outside of his role and help the shift out and take
Right.
calls and do whatever they.
And the way it first came in was a domestic disturbance.
It's somewhat of a domestic and involving another female that this suspect didn't know at all.
Right.
It's a lot to track, but it's just a whole bunch of series and unfortunate events. Shawn was not on his motorcycle that day,
Right.
Because he was training somebody, so he was in a vehicle,
Right.
Luckily, he did have another person there, so you could look at it both ways. Well, what if he was by himself? He had another person there. There's so many aspects of it. But I track from the moment that Shawn and officer enter the parking lot all the way to the end. And it's my opinion, I believe Shawn saved a life that day, and it was the complainant. Because at one time, when I studied this video and I questioned the other officer in there and what happened, he told her to wait. Hey, stay right here. Don't follow me. I'm going to go make contact. You wait. And you see her in the vehicle, and she waits.
Followed him.
She follows behind, and then she stops
and wait. Yeah.
and waits. And I was like, why did she stop? Because he rolls down the window, Shawn does, and yells at her that.
Okay.
So instead of following him, which would have been a shooting location, she stops and waits. And that a lot of people don't know, the public doesn't know. And when I look into these things, you're like, wow, man.
So I'll listen to the dispatch, and this is where it got confusing, is this lady calls in about our suspect. Then she gets her husband to call in, and I think that's when it got a little confusing for the dispatch.
Yes.
Because then it's a guy, well, I don't know, my wife's calling, she's having an argument with this guy.
Yes.
And I don't know really what's going on. Like, it's almost like he wasn't really paying attention. I don't know if he was or not, but his wife's like, hey, you need to call 911. Right. And so that kind of got confusing on the actual disturbance call. However, that's what it was. It's a disturbance call. It just wasn't domestic.
Right.
And he pulls in, and this guy straight up did a drive-by on him. Ambush, very much a coward in the way he done it. And so as he drives by, then he goes out to range, turns around, comes back by to shoot again. And I think that's when the rookie officer actually returned fire, if I'm understanding right. Yes. And one of the things that kind of stood out to me then is not only this guy doing what he did, and of course he goes out the back way, and there was a guy in a white Ford truck and took a round.
Yes.
I think he kind of started. I think he moved after that.
There was a lot that happened within, those 20-something seconds. Whenever you go back to review it, and a whole bunch of communication issues, understandable at that time. And the way I describe it to other newer officers is, there was 3 things that happened that day that were severe, and me and Chief may have done one of the 3 or 2 of we've never done all 3. One is you're watching your officer die in front of you. Mm-hmm. And what can I do? 2, you're getting shot at. And 3, you're returning fire.
Right.
Those 3 things are very rare for somebody to do all at once. I've done a portion of those things, but not all 3 at the same time. So it's not for me to sit back and look at that and armchair quarterback that, but I very much know that's a lot going on in that situation.
A lot. And look, and the guy comes back twice.
So he comes.
I mean, that's a lot there.
When Shawn makes the approach, he only has time to call in the 28 the license plate of the vehicle. So he does that, right? That's our training, is to call on that plate. The suspect does not give him much opportunity to do much else other than step out the car.
Right.
The rookie officer at the time didn't have a chance to even get out the car.
Correct.
So whenever the suspect then turns around to kind of face Shawn's unit is when he starts firing weapons. Shawn did have his pistol in his hand. He wasn't able there was no round discharged by Shawn, but he had his pistol in his hand. He had enough time to get it out or know something's not right. Whether or not that communication right there, of course, there's no audio when I'm looking at these videos from far away.
Right.
But he knew something wasn't right. And he took a round to the leg at that time, from what I was able to piece together. And then you see the suspect on video leave towards Raising Cane's, towards Russian Road. Officer Boyette, who's the training officer, comes out and he's got his weapon out. And he's looking at Shawn. What do you need? What do you need? I think he told me in a statement that, give me my tourniquet. I need a tourniquet. I'm shot. Okay, so you see him go back to the car, kind of looking to try to find it. It's second day in Shawn's unit, right? So
that's a lot.
He's doing all this. But let me tell you this, because I don't know if he'll even say it. The foresight that a new officer who has zero law enforcement, he has military background, but zero law enforcement prior to us, knew that while he's tending to Shawn, danger's coming back. Wow. Danger's coming back.
He didn't get zoned in on just the one thing.
You know, the tunnel vision, and you're a firearms instructor, so you know all those things that go into it. Danger's coming back. That guy, the suspect, then in my mind, there was two things. One, he saw he didn't finish Shawn off. Or two, there was another target in the vehicle that he could shoot at, because everybody's used to our area. We ride typically one person per unit. So he then comes back around in an ambush to just murder and fires off more shots. And for the training officer to dodge those bullets, to retreat back to cover and return fire, and to keep all the background, all the vehicles, all the pedestrians. You're talking about a background of nothing but businesses that are still open.
Right.
And no innocent person gets shot while trying to save his buddy and not get dead himself is the basic blunt way I can put it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It really was.
Amazing.
It really was. I mean, it's just, I watched that and I was like, oh my God, that was close. And then and the more you watch the video, man, it's just amazing that he was able to do what he did. Second day on the job, basically.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. It is so much to process. And like you said it really good earlier. I mean, it's just so many moving parts to this going on at one time. And this all happens in less than like 20 seconds.
Yeah,
less.
It's super quick. And Shawn's backup arrives. We're very fortunate inside the city when bad things happen. We're relatively close. Y'all have the whole parish to worry about, so backup could be minutes. But whenever I arrived there, I was at home like the chief. I actually left a little bit early that day. I got ice cream. It took me forever to ever get ice cream again because I associated that with the bad events.
Typical.
And I told my wife, it's bad. I don't know when I'm going to be back home. And it's Shawn. And that's all she knew.
Yeah.
She knew when I said it's just bad because she's had to deal with this whenever I had to do the same thing with James Foster. So, we try to limit our exposure to who knows that information out of courtesy of the family because we need to get the family involved first. But those were the things that I told her. And she just knows it could be 2 hours, it could be 20 hours, it could be whenever.
Yeah. And that's you bring up a good point, and I wanted to make sure that we covered is dealing with the media. In that particular incident, there's a lot of times, my wife, she works for the sheriff's office. She had limited information. A lot of people have limited information because, again, we owe it to his family to get them the information as quick as possible. And, again, what are we dealing with? What are his injuries? How bad is this? There was a lot of hope there as we, put him in an ambulance and get him to the hospital and continue that hope. We all did. And so much so that now you got the news media and all these people are making these assumptions, creating these narratives, and this thing is tracking fast. We said it earlier how we flipped the script with one photo. Those things happen, but you still have to talk to the news media. One of the things that I remember It's the first time this has ever happened to me, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but I did many press conferences, a lot. But I never did a press conference. And we're basically in between Cane's Chicken and Waffle House.
Right.
It's kind of where we set up at. There was so many individual folks there, and even some of them asking questions for their own social media page.
Yeah.
It wasn't any way connected to the media, but we're interviewing with some of the locals like Channel 9, You remember that?
Yeah.
It was a lot of just folks just walked out with their phones, and I've never dealt with that before. Handled it fine.
The biggest group of quote unquote media that.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Right.
And but it was very supportive. We got the information out as quick as we could, and still dealing with the scene. And again, we can't give a lot of information. And look, today's world is so tough because they usually have video or something within the first couple of minutes. I tell people we got about 3 minutes to get our story out.
Right.
Because it travels so fast now, and you can't really keep up. But
it's a very tough situation that y'all two leaders of departments are in. The public and the media, they're begging for this knowledge,
Right.
and they're entitled to a knowledge to a certain extent. But then you have to stop and think: does the family know this? 1, 2, it's a criminal investigation,
right.
And no matter how much I would love to tell you, a suspect is attempted to kill my buddy.
Right.
I would love to tell you that, but I understand there's a criminal investigation, and sometimes that takes months, sometimes that takes years.
Right.
There's just certain things that we cannot release. And I wish the public would understand that. You take that as maybe we're trying to hide something. I would love to tell you that what this person tried to do to my friend.
Yeah.
Now we can talk about it, but there's times where we just can't. We just can't.
Yeah, and it makes it tough because there's times, although we can't, we want to. Mm-hmm. We want to get that information out, but again, we just can't do that. And if I remember right, for some reason, did we at the beginning of this, we get to this scene, was it maybe possible 2 suspects that we at first?
I knew about always one suspect. There was maybe some issues on the hair length. There was maybe some issues. There was some issues with vehicle descriptions and when we first got there, and direction of travel. There was a lot of communication issues with that. But you're talking about a very fast scene, multiple officers, multiple agencies. By the time I arrived as an investigator, we had everybody there. We had people from Baton Rouge. We had law enforcement from
a lot of people responding,
ready to come handle business. What you need, Scoob? A lot of them know, Scoob, what you need? You're detectives. They don't work for me. They don't answer to me. Scoob, what you need?
Right.
All right, I'm going to need a search warrant for this. And then, hey, who you got? Who's your expert in this? This is what I'm going to need. I'm going to need that person to not go anywhere. And we have to start piecing it together. Yeah. And when I teach this Shawn class, I show screenshots of this sergeant who worked that day who has Shawn's blood on his hands. And I take that snippet. They don't see the video. And he's setting up crime scene. He don't get to go to the hospital. He don't get to go check on Shawn that night.
Right.
He's working that day. He has to stay. He has to be there with me. We have to figure this out. And then that really hit some of the new officers. Oh, my buddy's down. Let's go to the hospital. Let's go. Because if we were off, that's what we're doing.
We still got a job to do.
We still have a job to do.
Yeah. And and you got it done. You did. One of the other factors that were going on that kind of against us that night too was the the rain.
Yeah.
We had. I remember getting.
Somebody got
tent
tents
out there.
You remember that lightning?
I appreciate the tents.
Yeah.
Then Raising Cane's. Come on. I remember drinking some sweet tea or whatever. The manager over there.
Yeah, they were very accommodating.
They come out to. They're always there's those staples in the community that always. Hey, what do you need?
Always step up.
And they know we got called out right before dinner time. It's well into the night. I'm there 10, 11, 12. What you need? I just need something to drink. We got you. Here comes jugs. That we sometimes get numb to it. And I don't want to say we forget it, but there's other areas in this nation that don't get that.
Yeah.
We do in Livingston Parish.
For sure.
Oh, yeah, for 100%. And as we, I guess, secure the scene where Shawn's at, we now have another scene that goes down. You guys, were y'all still responding when the knock-hand situation happened?
Yeah, I guess you'd say we were.
I was.
That was an interesting situation too, because correct me if I'm wrong, but Narcan was headed to another location.
Yeah, so
Just happened to come
Narcan.
across the guy.
Yeah, so what Narcan does, he pulls in. You see him on his in car cam. I'm sure you looked at it.
I was telling Miss Lori this whenever I pulled the videos together of the officers. I used Narcan as my hero in this, and I don't know if people stop and think other than he handled business that day and how he felt he had to handle it, but that suspect was dead set on hurting people.
Absolutely.
A lot of them.
100%.
Whether they wore badges or if they were in the bystander of the community, he was dead set with weaponry to injure or kill people. So when I talk about Deputy Narcan, I call him Dakota, that's my hero. So you see him, and I asked him, I see you on body cam. At this time, paramedics are there with Shawn. A whole bunch of officers are there with Shawn. Fire and paramedics are treating Shawn. He pulls up in a blue and white Women's Affairs unit. He gets out. I see him briefly, and I pause it there every time, and I teach the class, said, hey, this guy's my hero. You're going to find out why. 30, 40 minutes into this lecture, you're going to find out why, but he's my hero. And then the officer makes a walk around the unit, and he comes back, and then you see a blue and white Tahoe leaving. I said, that's the same guy. He got out. He looked. He said, Scoob, there was nothing else I could do for Shawn.
Right.
They were helping him. They were treating him. I knew what I had to go do. I had to go find the guy. So his mindset went to, what good am I doing here right now?
Right.
To saw what I need to see. Let's go handle business. Wow. And then for the acts that he did and the foot, I have the breakdown of how long it was. From what I understand, it's like 53 yards.
Yeah, it was well over 50 yards, and he basically, we get information of where this guy lives at up in the Watson area, and we have several units headed that way, and I think that's obviously where he was heading from his own statement. And as he goes and rounds the that curve right there,
Dare we say the old Blockbuster?
the
Did we
old
show our
Blockbuster,
age?
yeah, the old Blockbuster. Man, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And so as he rounds the corner, bad guy, there he is, propped up against his vehicle in a tactical position. I mean, and he is
Ready to
down
commit
on.
violence.
Got it on his mind.
Oh, got on his mind. And, you know, the biggest thing for me when I watched that video a couple of times was when we realized why the guy didn't shoot, because he was trying.
Yeah.
And his gun jams. And he's having to try to get that gun unjammed. And then, I mean, my heart dropped. Because I'm
when I
going
tell
to
the
tell
story,
you.
I always say, and there's where the Lord interjected.
Oh,
So
there's
it's enough
no
today.
doubt he interjected. And look,
No more today.
and look, he Narcan, he gets out, he throws his gun up. I mean, I'm a firearm instructor. It's hard to hit anybody. 25 yards is always tough for everybody, right? This guy is double that.
Double that. With a threat pointed at
25 yards
Yes.
center mass is tough for everybody.
Oh yeah, and I mean, and I watched that video multiple times, and without a doubt, the first round's what hit him. He drops him, and it was so quick to rapid fire, and I don't think we ever recovered the other 2 rounds.
We didn't, from what I understand.
And I figured they was in the back of a car from McDonald's or something. They ever knew they got hit, but nobody was hurt. Doesn't matter. Bad guys down. Everybody was safe. He did it in a very professional manner, and him describing it was unbelievable. And he goes on to, you know, hey, I knew I had to, you know, keep my eye on him. I kept my gun pointed the whole time. This guy was so smooth. At one point, he gets on his knee, and we actually thought the video froze. That's how still Narcan was. We went back, and I don't know if you, I'm sure you watched it all, but there's a point where he kneels down and just sits there. He never moves. He never gets tired. He gun drawn, waiting for his backup to get there, which was there pretty quickly, but it seemed like forever.
Yes. All those things feel like they're forever, but as we had multiple people get there, I have a scene in my PowerPoint where our officers first learned it was Shawn as they're approaching the down suspect or who they believe was down. And then one of the officers asked, was it Boyette or Shawn? They didn't know.
Right.
This all happened so quick. And as soon as they're told it's Shawn, it's not good. Well, now they have these emotions flooding their body. And you have to keep your composure while you're pointing this firearm and going into a suspect and you have to keep your composure and do the right thing. Mm-hmm. And people don't talk about that. People don't understand we're human. I get mad. We get mad. We get upset, but we can't. We can't retaliate. We can't take it out on you. So I put that in there to teach these younger officers that you're going to, if you're ever put in this situation, hopefully you're not, this is what you're going to feel. And this is how I need you to act.
You know, and you have something in front of you right there. If one of y'all want to read that. You said it earlier, Scoby, about this guy, the suspect had it on his mind. He was there to do harm to
100%.
Anybody in uniform. And later on, after we take care of, Narcan basically takes care of business is what he does. And so lucky that we are not working two officer-involved deaths. I don't know I just don't know how we would have handled.
Maybe three.
I mean, maybe three or maybe four.
Right.
But we wound up at the house. We do a search warrant, and we find this note. If one of y'all want to read it, but this just is the mind frame of this person that we're dealing with.
Yeah, he leaves a note that says, the purpose of the dirty apartment is to make sure you're not comfortable when you come in here. I do not care. Y'all going to hell and you know it.
I mean, he's obviously dealing with some stuff.
That's right.
And look, it's hard to even read.
That's right.
And but as hard as that day was, and I mean, we never like to see anybody pay the ultimate sacrifice. We it's just something that we pray for daily. I know I do, to keep our guys protected, and these things happen. And to be able to stop more casualties is a big thing. Narcan's definitely my hero, and he handles himself professionally. It does not take away from what happened, but at the end of the day, I'm just glad it didn't further more incidents, and we were able to take this guy out before it became a very large situation. And it's just one of the, I'm very thankful for that, and thankful that we were able to come together as one big team and work this. East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office did a great job. It brings your community together, these type of incidents. You don't ever want to see them happen, but when they happen,
right.
I mean, we got to do what we do, That's and right. A lot of citizens out there hopefully will understand that this is not easy. It's really tough when you work in these incidents, but we do what we do, and sometimes maybe we don't have the greatest personality in these situations because, hey, we're human too. You said it great earlier, Scoby. We're humans. Like, we get mad, we get angry, we get frustrated. But we can't show it. We try to keep our composure. It's like we demand it. You Rodney, as a new chief, having to deal with something of this magnitude, and keeping your guys together, keeping them whole, keeping them working, keeping them busy and focused when they want to be right there with their buddy at that hospital, right, with his wife and his family holding them. And we can't do that. We pray as we go, but we got to work these things. We got to get this stuff done and get it out of the way.
Yeah. And look, and don't forget our biggest partner, you guys, the Sheriff's Office. A lot of times, if we have something, we can lean on y'all. Hey, can y'all catch calls inside the city?
Yeah.
Well, now everybody's got stuff to deal with right now.
Right. I forgot about that. We actually helped y'all. Yeah.
Over the years, whether it be for a meeting or,
right,
we don't have that option here because y'all dealing with the same stuff we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So, it's a big deal for us to call on the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office. Fantastic job they did. And I think the first time, and the second, and they've since done it again. They just put another case on my desk last Monday. Another fantastic job of just helping us out and stepping up to the plate.
Sheriff Gautreaux has always been a good friend to us.
Yeah.
And they unfortunately work these things a lot more than we do. Yeah. So
right.
I was going to say that those men and women, man, I feel for them. They get their experience.
And look, Scoby and I have developed a close relationship with some of them. Not so much from the administrative side, but we both came out of the detectives, our last role before we was in administration. So we had developed a relationship with some of those guys, and they got some great people working for them over there. And they don't hesitate.
Yeah, they were.
You say jump, they say how high.
I remember when we finally got the footage from the business, of the event, and we knew it got recorded, and we knew we had it, and we knew we had everything, and we got the search warrant, got the stuff back out. And I remember crowding around some EBR investigators, their captain and their lieutenant, and two of the other ones I dealt with, and they put it on a laptop, and they're like, all right, and they were going to watch it for the first time, and they kind of look at me like, you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I got it. I need to see it. I'm the lead for the Denham half.
Right.
But for them to go, hold on, hey, are you sure?
Right.
You want to see it? Yeah, I got to. Let's do this. But for them just to know it's going to be tough for them to watch, they knew it's going to be super tough.
Right.
For the neighbor to watch. The guy's known him for 16 years.
Yeah. It's. I commend you for being able to work that case. It just sometimes it's so tough. I said it earlier, but it's true. One of the hardest things for us to do is step on a scene and not get emotionally involved.
Well,
not think about your kids because you're dealing with a victim that's, a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, and not to, because you're going to make a mistake. As soon as you get to let yourself get emotionally involved, if you can't keep that control over the emotions, you're going to make a mistake. And of course we're robots, right? We don't make mistakes. Right. But it's truly tough to do that.
And I always tell myself, and I've told it throughout my whole career, somebody has to do it. Somebody's got to do this. And I trust nobody better than myself when I do things. So if somebody's got to do it, you can do it yourself. But you have to, I was his neighbor, and I knew him. That's what I go through. And each one of the officers that worked with him, they all went through their own form of, I miss Shawn, or some of them, it should have been me. Yeah. It should have been me. And you have to talk to them and go, hey, I know that's how you feel. I know these are the events that should have been me, Scoob. No. Because I've already taught the 2 funerals, and I'm not going to do a third one,
Right.
But everybody has to deal with it a different way.
Yeah.
And we deal with it all the time. When you go to the scene with the deceased juveniles, you start thinking about your kids, and that's what we do. We have to become numb to when we go on scene to whatever we're dealing with. We can't associate it with our life, or you're going to lose your cool. You're going to lose your mind. It's going to bother you, and you got to do an effective job by disassociating, turning on professionals. Lieutenant Scoby, and let's go through this. And I know that we're about to look at some rough stuff, but we got to do it. And that's what we got to do, right?
And then go to the next call and have to have a smile on your face.
Yeah, and I think that's a big challenge there too. Is you're asking these people to carry on. Giving them minimal time to separate and then get back to work.
Yeah,
especially being in a smaller agency. We got jobs to do. We got people to serve. People still need us.
Yeah,
and most of them, looking back, they say that we could have done some things better, taking care of them in that section, and so we try to learn from those things. But bottom line, they get back to if you really dive into it with them, they know those other folks need help, and we were called to do this job. We got to go do that, and then get back to our grief. Grieve as we can, I guess you'd say.
Right. And y'all as a department, I know that y'all growing a little bit, and how is the emotions working today? If you don't mind me asking, I know it's never goes away, but it's work in progress, and that's a big hit for the entire department.
Yeah. So for me personally, looking at that leadership thing, and I'm sure you've seen it too. We got inundated with letters and cards of sympathy. Some like intricate, like serious, like big long letters.
Right.
Sending condolences and stuff, and that really touched me. And I made it a point to read every single one of them. And so I incorporated doing that. Most of my guys Scoby may not even know it, but I send condolence cards to every line of duty death in the United States.
Yeah.
And to that agency, including K9s, K9, dogs. So that's just one of those things that really stuck with me. I still wear an End to Watch Shawn Kelly bracelet every day. This is my third or fourth one now, because they break eventually. I save some so I can never go without it, but and I think about Shawn every day. I go by his resting place every day, which is coming along. They're finally getting some work done. There was some flack about that one time about where's the headstone? It should have been a headstone by now. It's really, really, really intricate and quite large, I'm told. I've seen designs of it, and we finally got a footing poured.
Yeah,
So
it's just a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
You know, people are going to be people. You know,
Yeah.
I think even somebody I knew that said something that shouldn't have been said was inappropriate, and you just don't do that. And look, my father passed in February, and we just met last week about his headstone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's we got to process this,
Yeah.
you know, and just like his family has to process it. And he has two families. He has his wife and his kids, and he has you guys. This is his law enforcement family. And it's something you're working together, but you also have to be patient with his family. And
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot.
A lot goes into that.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that a lot goes into it for a normal headstone. And now you got this something that Megan was clear about from the beginning. I want this to be wow.
Right.
That's why he specifically, I don't know if you remember, was set apart from everybody else closer to the highway. She wanted everybody to be able to see
That's
him.
right. That's right.
And they're going to. It's going to be really, I'm excited, but it's going to be
Yeah.
really cool.
Well, I'm glad that y'all making some headway with that, but it is a lot to have to go through and process and things of that nature. And look, you know, I just want to honor him with this podcast and let people hear from everybody involved. And I'm sure there's a lot more people involved. But I want to personally say thank you both for not only being here, but helping continue to honor such a great man that is basically did not only pay his ultimate sacrifice, but was so well embedded in the Denham Springs community and helped so many people and wanted to continue to help. And Chief, you said earlier, he's continuing today. I mean, he just helps people.
Well, yeah,
he
and,
left
you
his
know,
mark, and that's who he was.
Yeah, and that whole embedded in the community, you know, being a motor man, you know,
Right.
the motor man, everybody loves the motor man on
Right.
top of just Shawn's, you know, persona that, you know, he was always involved in community events and visited with people. People love Shawn Kelly.
Right.
So, and I tell people, as bad as it sounds sometimes, to bring communities together, even further reaching than our little community here, it had to be Shawn Kelly.
Yeah.
And you know, that's how you have to look at it. At least me, as a man of God, I look up to the Lord and know this was for a reason. And there was a lot of good things come out of this, even though we had to get through the bad,
Right.
that we still deal with every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And I don't want to ever have to go to DC again.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that
and
was
so.
we actually was there together. 'Cause I had actually two of my guys. Well, I'll say two sheriff deputies. One was Robert McKinney, who had went on the wall, and the other was George White. That was back in the 1800s. That we actually had a historian call us and pointed out to us that we thought there was an officer involved shooting or death that we needed to look into, that he came across in archives, whatever. And then Alden Thomason got through there and he starts looking through everything. And the short story is he basically was investigating a homicide and went and interviewed some people coming back on a horse with a juvenile and a friend of his. And it was ambushed right there by Springfield, not far from where the actual cemetery sits, and ambushed and killed while he was working a homicide. We were able to make contact with two of, I think, his grandchildren, our granddaughter or something like that, great-granddaughter. So it was pretty interesting case.
It was interesting.
Not to take away from this, but that's what was going on. So we actually had two. So if y'all heard that name when y'all were there, that's what that's about. He's actually here, his photo and a little bit of his story. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. He calls, but he wound up being accepted, and they do that a lot of times. And then he was actually went on the wall at the same time. Shawn.
Yeah, I couldn't go. I'm hoping to get up there one day, but I was able to send multiple of our people, a motor team, and then two of the guys that were working that day, including Boyette.
Yeah, look, man, it's a very somber and I mean, it's crazy. It just, as no other word, it's heartfelt. It's just, they really take care of the families, and it's what an honor. Yeah, we have amazing community. We really do. I wouldn't want to be a sheriff anywhere else, and I'm sure you wouldn't want to be a chief anywhere else.
No, indeed.
It's just we have a great community here. Well, look, guys, I appreciate y'all being here, but is there anything, I guess, that before we depart that y'all would want to make sure that we remember to say about Corporal Kelly? We've said a lot here today about him.
I think just to wrap it up, Shawn was kind of bigger than life as a human being, as a public servant, and he loved the community. And I always go back to that one little piece I touched on earlier. Rodney, I just want to make the city of Denham Springs better. Just want to make it better. And that will always stick in my mind. We created an award based on that.
Yeah.
That meeting is what birthed the Corporal Shawn Kelly Award. So bigger than life for me, and for all of my guys and gals.
Well, again, thank you for sharing that with us, and I just appreciate you guys being here and taking the time out to help us remember Shawn. Neighbor, great dad, husband. I mean, law enforcement professional. We can go on and on of who he was, and,
That's right.
and we want to remember him and continue to pray that none of us ever have to go through this again. Unfortunately, we probably will have to, but we pray for God's protection each and every day. Again, that'll do it for Behind the Scenes with Sheriff Jason Ard. We appreciate you listening. Don't forget to download our LPSO app. Follow us on social media, share, like, do all those crazy things that you usually do on the social media platform. And always in Livingston Parish, we love our schools, we love our churches, and we absolutely believe in the Second Amendment. Be safe and be blessed.